Welcome to another week and another opportunity for us to come together and learn together about a way that we can take over and take control of our lives so that we become the victors of our stories versus the victims of our circumstance. As always, I kick off the show with a moment of gratitude. Today, I am grateful for a good mentor of mine, a friend of mine, Van Clarkston. Van Clarkston's the president of Fairchild Equipment. It came into my CEO roundtable, my Vistage CEO roundtable about 2 years ago. And for the people that have been watching my journey, my show, the last 4.5 years, I've been in a Vistage CEO roundtable, and I consider them to be my family. It's my Vistage fam. We meet monthly. We go out and have drinks and dinner, and we do a retreat every year. And some of the closest people in this world in my life right now are a result of that family. So anyways, Van came in the group like 2 years ago, and instantly we hit it off. He's older than me, much more experienced, much greater wealth of connections and experience and money and all those things. And yet he was humble enough to let me take him under his wing at first and teach him the ways of Vistage, teach him about how our group operated. And very quickly, he took me under his wing. We reversed the roles, and he's mentoring me as a better business leader and father. And when we go on retreats, I'm single, he's got a wife, and he always makes point to make sure I'm included, when the couples are doing coupley things. And so I really appreciate that. I appreciate him and our entire Vistage family. Today's episode was inspired by him last Friday. We'll get into that here shortly. Second thing, let's pay the bills. Speaking, that's what I love doing. That's why I do this. I write books. I do podcasts. I put out videos so that I have the opportunity to get on stages and speak in front of people. And sometimes those people are as small as companies of 5 to 7 people doing an intimate workshop where we're doing it in a conference room and we're diving into some company issues, working on individuals and working on language. Last week, I did a workshop about 15 recruiters, and sometimes it's in front of 50, 75 people doing a workshop. I've also spoken in front of 500 people before doing keynotes. I love it all. So what I'm doing recently is the language of leaders, a little twist, or I changed things up a little bit. Instead of the language of leadership, it's now the language of leaders, and we're talking about the way that leaders speak. And so that workshop has been really successful. It can be as short as 45 minutes up to 4 hours, really going to be catered, the material, to the audience. So when it comes to planning over the winter, you want your leadership team to get on the same page. You want to use empowering language. You want to cut through all the BS and get right to the point, bottom line up front. You want to use empowering language. You want to weed out the people that are full of excuses and denial. That's the workshop for you. So whether you or a company needs that type of kick in the ass, I'm the guy for it. So the Language of Leaders workshop, taking it nationwide. So I will travel, the opportunity to put that on with the REMA, the Recycled Materials Association, at the Best Young and Brightest, where I got my sweet ass Yeti mug from, and other places. So that's the workshop. The people are really honing it on. So that's the workshop. All right, let's get to what we're going to get into today, and it's all about motivation. So we talk about motivation. There's 2 basic types of motivation. This is where Van comes in the story. Last week, we did an exercise on habits, and we were talking about extreme ownership, which is a great book. I've read the Cliff Notes version, and this morning I ordered 5 copies for our team because we're going to read it yet this quarter. So extreme ownership, but really talk about habits, and then what's preventing you from putting together good habits, productive habits that reach your goal versus habits that take away from your goal. And the second exercise was all about habit stacking. How do you put habits together to make things happen? And so towards the end of our CEO roundtable, we always go around the room and say, hey, what was the most insightful thing? Top takeaway, right? I always love saying top takeaway. What was the one thing? And the trinsics, right? The intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. I learned them as instrumental internal motivation and instrumental motivation. Anyway, so the joke was like, oh yeah, the trinsics. So Van said, oh, we should do the thing on the trinsics. And then somebody else, I think Mike commented, was like, hey, Andy, you should do your next podcast on this. And it was a shot. And you know what? I listen to what people say, not necessarily how they say it. I go, yeah, that's really good. So I literally wrote it down. I text my producer, and here we are. Motivation comes from all places. Information you receive is only that. No such thing as good news or bad news, only new information and what you do with it. So for Van, and I'm pretty sure it was Mike, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about instrumental motivation versus internal or intrinsic motivation. So instrumental motivation, that is simple. That is carrot or stick, rewards or punishment. It is very clear. And then there's intrinsic or internal motivation. You're motivated because you're motivated to do it. You get gratification doing the thing. I always talk about the thing, do the fucking thing. And you are motivated to do the thing. So for me, I love Excel spreadsheets. I love crunching numbers. Last night, Sunday night, 9:30 at night, I am looking at data. I am motivated to do that. I get excited to do that. I am building out my pro forma for 2025 based on data from this year. Like, I am motivated to do that because I'm motivated to do that. I am not motivated to do push-ups every morning and my plank. Not something that I'm motivated to do, right? I've been talking about this for months, right? Thinking, talking, trying, all you're doing is lying. That's what I've been doing. I have been talking about doing push-ups and planks every morning, and I have not been doing it because I've been lying to myself and others about the thing I'm going to do, and I never do it. And there's research behind that. The more you talk about the things you're going to do, the less likely you are to actually do them. Now, talking about what you've done will motivate you, and talk about what you're doing next, not the big thing, right? This is what I'm doing tomorrow. This is the next step in the journey will motivate you. Talking about things in the future does not do it. That's why I refrain now about talking about my goals, because I read that a few months ago and I go, okay, how do I exercise judiciousness, right? How do I hack life to make life simpler for myself? So anyways, that's why I do these things. Okay, so we're talking about habit stacking. So this is what I came up with and I figured out, and this is how language plays a role. So my push-ups and my plank, my goal is to do them every morning before I leave my house. So from I wake up to I leave my house, I do push-ups and plank. And it's relevant, right? We talk about SMART goals: singular, measurable, obtainable, relevant, time-bound, right? Singular, specific. We'll say specific. Push-ups and plank. Measurable, yes or no, I did it. Obtainable, yes, I am capable of doing it. Is it relevant? Yep. I'm 40 and I want to stay in shape, and I'm stopping playing volleyball this winter. So, right, it's relevant, right? You can't tone it, tan it, and the sun's going away. So it's relevant. Time bound. Yes, every day I will do this between this time and this time. I've been talking about it for months, and I have not been doing it for months. That's a fact, Jack. Okay. So the beautiful thing is I can beat myself up about what I haven't done, or I can get motivated about what I'm going to do. Similar to a couple weekends ago, I had nothing on my schedule and ended up cleaning out my entire garage. Because I made the bar so low, I was able to achieve it. My goal was to get nothing done. I got something done, so I got excited about the 3 or 4 or 5 things I got done versus the list of 10, and I only got 5 things done. I only got half of the things I wanted to get done. So again, you want to change your life, start with your sock drawer. Mr. Dr. Jordan Peterson says that, right? And here we go. This is how simple this is. I figured it out, right? Mind you, this is a very expensive CEO roundtable. Doing these retreats, we meet once a month. We do all these social activities, and it took a 45-minute exercise on habit stacking for me to finally make a commitment to myself about doing my push-ups and my plank. So I figured out what stops me. When I first wake up, I want to go to the bathroom. And then once I go to the bathroom, I make my cup of coffee. Go make my cup of coffee. I come back. I start getting ready. And by the time I start getting ready, the last thing I want to do is stop what I'm doing to do push-ups and plank. I want to be very efficient with them. I want to keep going. And I keep giving myself excuse. I get up first thing. I'm like, not alive yet. And once I leave my bedroom, I'm like, nope, I'm already moved on with my day. And so I thought about this. Okay, what happens? I go make my cup of coffee. I go back in my bedroom. I fart around for 2 minutes. And then I go back to retrieve my cup of coffee because it's the sweet nectar of the gods. And nothing happens before the coffee smell is in the air. I drink decaf first thing in the morning. It's not even the caffeine. It's here's my placebo. Here's the sweet nectar of the gods. Let's get our day going. There's a 2-minute period there, whatever it takes, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, for my coffee to brew. And normally that's dead time. Those 2 minutes are not highly effective because I'm essentially waiting for my coffee to get done. And so when I was going through the exercise last week about habit stacking, it's okay, let's think about the habits I already have in place. I get up, I hit the head, I go make my cup of coffee, I fart around for 2 minutes, I go in the bathroom, get ready, put my pants on, boots, out the door, right? That's my boom. Okay, so I already have these habits. So now I think, okay, what habit do I want to develop? Oh, push-ups and plank. Okay, when in those habits can I put it in, right? Because intrinsically I'm not doing it, right? And how do I motivate myself? That rewards punishment, right? Carrot or stick. How do I motivate myself? And it's really simple. I get coffee, right? This is where language comes in. I get coffee in the morning when I do my push-ups and plank. So now I go over to my Keurig, I press the button, I do the thing, and as it's brewing and the sweet nectar is starting to wake me up, that's when I do my push-ups. That's when I do my plank. And conveniently, when I'm done with my push-ups, I'm done with my plank, I get coffee, right? And coffee, right, here we are. It's 15:44, 3:45 for the civilians, and I'm drinking this sweet nectar of decaf coffee, and it's 75 degrees out. in late October here in Wisconsin. Why? Because I love the taste of coffee. It is delicious. And now what I've done, I have 2 days in a row, 2 days success. Sunday I did it. Monday I did it. Saturday I made the commitment when I thought about what I did on Friday. Sunday I made the commitment and I executed at a high level. Monday I made the commitment and executed at a high level. And when I do 2 minutes total, 2 minutes total, right? That's like myself so much credit, right? 1 minute push-ups, 1 minute plank. That is 2 more minutes every day, right? That I hadn't otherwise done. That's 15 more minutes of exercise every week that I hadn't done. If I do 100 push-ups or when I do 100 push-ups or whatever the number ends up being, that's 100 more than I did before, or 200 more, or 500 more. And those will stack over time. And the goal is over time, right? The coffee is my motivation right now. That's my reward for doing a great job, right? Good job, Andy. You get your coffee. The goal is eventually I forget that the coffee is my reward because I tell myself when you get up, you hit the head, put your coffee on, you do the push-ups, you do the plank, right? And then eventually doing the push-ups and doing the plank is my reward for getting up. It's my reward for breathing fresh air every day. It's my reward for being alive. And so for the time being, I'm going to trick myself into thinking that my coffee is my reward. And go, you know what? At the end of the day, I did my push-ups. And I know this works because I went to the dentist 2 months ago. And I get there, dentist, I go every 6 months. I'm a big fan of getting my teeth cleaned. I love the feeling after you're going to get your teeth cleaned. Your teeth are all nice and clean. You feel good about yourself. Or I do. I don't give a shit what you do. I feel great about myself after I leave the dentist. My grandfather was a dentist. My uncle was a dentist. My cousin was a dentist. Good teeth. We're all about that life in our family. And so I feel good after I leave the dentist. And yet, every time I leave the dentist, I floss for about a week. And then I stop flossing. And then that's that. So last time I was at the dentist, I lay down and the lady's, hey, you've been brushing and flossing? I go, we have 2 choices here. I said this out loud because that's how my brain works. I said, I have 2 choices here. I can lie to you and tell you I have been flossing, or I can be honest and just wait and you will figure it out yourself that I have not been flossing. And she laughed. And at the end of my dental appointment, she's like, hey, like it sucked. Like she was grinding on stuff. I was not doing a great job this last 6 months of my oral hygiene, apparently. And she's like, hey, to make it suck less next time, and she used different words, essentially the same thing, to make it better next time, maybe you should floss the next 6 months. And actually, I moved my appointment up to 4 months, every 4 months, because you know what? I'll go 3 times a year because I love the feeling of going to the dentist. Big fan. Right? I used to go every 3 months because they let me. New dentist, you can only get in every 4 months. Anyhow, so that punishment, right? She's a younger, attractive dental hygienist. For her to be like, hey, guy, you suck. That was my stick. Hey, dummy, you ought to start flossing. And the thing is, I own the floss sticks. I had the floss sticks. So I started using my floss sticks. And I've been religious twice a day, in the morning, at night, no questions asked, to a point where last week I ran out of floss sticks. I thought I had another bag. I could not find the other bag. I went to my Jeep where I had my little emergency 10-pack floss sticks that I carry on the road with me, and I used those up. And I was so irritated by the whole thing. In the morning when I normally read, I went into Amazon, or I went to Costco's website to buy new floss sticks because that's where I got the old ones from. They don't even carry them anymore. So then I went to Amazon and bought them. And turns out on Amazon, not only can I buy them, I can buy them so they ship every 3 months or 2 months. So I get my shipment every 2 months. It was like $2.36. So it went from flossing is a punishment, right? Because I'm going to get yelled at, or it's going to make my teeth hurt, or I'm going to have a janked up smile, right? There's an instant to now I was mad at myself and the world and everything else because I could not find my little floss sticks, right? I'm now motivated to floss my teeth twice a day because I said so, and it feels good. And I feel better about myself when I do it. There's no one yelling at me. There's no trophy at the end. There's no sweet nectar of the gods coffee waiting for me. I intrinsically have adapted that habit and said, this is what I do. And as soon as there was a barrier, lack of floss sticks, I was enraged. I was frustrated. And I went out of my way to buy things online, which that's not typically my MO. I was about to say I don't do, and then I had to rework because that's empowering language, right? I typically avoid shopping online. And yet I was motivated to do it because I'm a person that flosses my teeth twice a day. And my goal, now that I have this reward of coffee for my push-ups and plank, my goal over the next couple of weeks is that I'm going to say to myself, yep, I wake up and I do my push-ups and plank. So that means when I'm at a hotel, for example, and maybe coffee's not easily accessible, maybe I have to go down to the lobby to get it. I still wake up and do my push-ups and plank because that's what I do when I get up. Because I'm a person that gives a shit about my health. I'm a person that wants to feel good and look good and be better than I was the day before. And I know doing push-ups and doing a plank will get me there. And it's all about the tricks, the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. When I went to master resiliency training, they talked about instrumental versus intrinsic motivation. And they knocked the instrumental motivation, saying that's not a way to lead people, right? When you want people to go to war for you and die for your country, carrot and stick isn't always the best course of action, right? And yet we use it, right? Even in our companies, like here at our company, right? If you're not a very good employee, we suspend you. If you're really not a good employee, we fire you, right? Carrot and stick. Or you might get yelled at or talked to or whatever, right? Our goal is to catch people doing the right thing and motivate them with more carrots, less sticks. Yes, you want to get people to follow the system. You want people and you want yourself to be the ideal version of yourself. Last week I talked about when you get rid of things in your life, when you start saying no to shit, you slowly become the person you told yourself you were going to be. Yes, intrinsically, that's where you want to be. And although the Army does not necessarily agree that those carrots and stick work, science is science. When you give yourself those rewards, when you give yourself those punishments, when you tie a result to an activity, you are more likely to do the activity. You're going to do the activity so much that eventually the result doesn't matter anymore and you do the activity. And so if I can life hack, so not if, when I can life hack myself into saying, I get coffee when I do my push-ups and plank, I do my push-ups and plank. How I got there is less significant, right? I'm not going to beat myself up because I tricked myself into giving myself coffee. I'm going to reward the fact that I did the thing. My mentor and business coach, Mervyn Bird, told me about this a few months ago. He said whenever he signs a candidate, a new person, onto one of his Vistage teams, he goes out to Dairy Queen and he gets him, I can't remember what it was, Chunky Monkey Blizzard, something like that, right? Rocky Road Blizzard. I'm a non-ice cream eating individual. Anyways, he gets himself that Blizzard, the little one. It's 974 fucking calories. It's terrible for him. It's against everything else he does. And he sits there in the parking lot and savors every last bite because he tied a simple reward to a simple activity. I get my coffee. He gets his ice cream. My question to you is, what do you give yourself when you do those things, those actions and activities that you otherwise are dismissing, you're avoiding? Maybe they're uncomfortable. Give yourself that reward. And not like a week or two from now. Not maybe sometimes. No. Make it very clear. Start there with the reward. Hey, I get coffee. I get ice cream when I do my push-ups and plank. When I sign a candidate. Start with the good stuff. Get yourself motivated. Because now the when is not an if, it's a when. I get coffee when I do my push-ups and plank. It's very simple. That's how I live my life. And so my challenge to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that. What is it you are avoiding? You can spend all day calculating and understanding and figuring out why you're avoiding something. Or you can go and do the fucking thing. You can create a new habit. You can stack that habit in between current habits. You can make one of those other habits now a reward. Or you can take something in your life that you like and create that as a habit that you get after you do the thing that you've been avoiding. So that's my question to you, ladies and gentlemen. That's the question I want you to answer for yourself. Sit back, analyze your life, right? We always know that self-awareness is the second step. Self-reflection is the first step. Reflect back. What are the things you want? Who is it that you want to become? What actions and activities do you need or do you want to do to be able to become that person? And what life hacks, like habits, stacking habits, and extrinsic, carrot and stick, instrumental motivation, rewards and punishment, whatever you want to call it, where do you have to insert those things into your life so that you start living the ideals that you lie to yourself about in your head? You preach that you're going to be this person, and now the opportunities that you get to be that person. As always, do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, and show the fuck up. We'll see you next week.